is my language. I grew up in a family who planned their free days together around food. So, what am I doing at music school? The answer is simple. Cooking school was just simply too obvious. I envisioned how my language of food would be shaped after cooking school, so instead I opted for a challenge. And in 2009, I enrolled in French at the University of Stellenbosch. Away from home, studying something I wasn't necessarily great at, and on top of it all, I did not like the res food. All in all, you could say I was pretty awkward. On the first day of res, seeing a girl about my age standing alone by herself, I invited her to come and join me at the table I was sitting. To my surprise, she said, "No, thank you." Awkward. Seems like the perfect excuse to have ended the conversation right there. But funnily enough, Irene and I became friends. How? We both did not like the res food, so Irene brought over a few ingredients and I started cooking for us in my res room every night, illegally. The neighbors soon found out and said, "Jade, teach us how to cook." In French class, I met a Chilean viticulture student called Leonardo. "Jade, I found this amazing wine for 20 rand. We should do a food and wine pairing." In between my classes and cooking, I found myself practicing saxophone all the time. So after my first year at Stellenbosch, I transferred from Stellenbosch to UCT, where they offered jazz as a subject. Now, contrary to popular belief, practicing is as important as feeling in jazz, and to put the feeling into practice, it involves a lot of jamming. So, jamming or a jam session could be seen as an improvised performance by a group of musicians, especially in jazz and in blues. So the group of musicians could be friends or either complete strangers, but via means of a few standard tunes and chord progressions are able to share this universal language called music. So with this and my friends saying, "Teach us how to cook" in mind, I decided to invite a few friends over for the very first FoodJam in February 2010. I wrote basic recipes based on staple ingredients, minimal equipment, and a budget that the student life provides, right? I divided my friends into groups of 2 and 3 and provided each group with a cooking station like this, a different recipe and the ingredients. I then instructed them to start cooking, either by following the recipe or improvising with the ingredients, much like a musician would when given a few chords. At the end of the cooking session, we sat together around a table and we shared the food with wine. Each dish was paired with wine selected by Leonardo. In between all of that, right, Irene, my friend and cooking partner at Res, also happened to be a brilliant photographer. So I invited her to document the very first FoodJam. Her photographs were so awesome that they spread on social networks, and soon more friends wanted to FoodJam. So by the fourth FoodJam, I found myself amongst a group of strangers who did not know each other. What do we usually do when we find ourselves amongst a group of strangers? We could get on our smartphones, so at least then it doesn't look like we're awkward, right? Or we could be having lunch alone, but what we are sharing is so delicious that we decide to take a photograph of it and share it on social networks to our friends and followers, which means that we are socially connected, albeit virtually, by what? Food. So back to FoodJams. Upon arrival at a FoodJam, I immediately thrust a piece of dough into your hand with the instruction to make your own pizza. If you want a drink, help yourself. Our hands dirty with flour and ice, somewhat broken, it's over to the kitchen where I further mix up the group so that you're paired with someone that you just met. You're given a cooking station, and here's the recipe. Ask me as many questions as you like, but remember that only the 3 of us know what the recipe should be like, so really make it your own creation. First, you look at your cooking partner and think, we really don't have anything in common. But suddenly the heat is turned on, and we start cooking, and instead of asking you where you're from or what you do for a living, I ask for the onion. There aren't enough knives and, frankly, too little space, but you could ask the person in the cooking station next to you to pass the knife, and you might just hit it off. You might be awkward and not like cooking, but you're in a team with a stranger, and you've got the recipe as a guideline, so it smells delicious, you must be doing something right. So we conspire together for the next 30 minutes to create something together that we can share when we sit down together around a table to eat the food that we have created. Sitting together around the table, sharing what we have created, we soon forget that we were awkward, or that we thought we didn't have the skills, or that we thought we didn't have anything in common. Back to music school. I'm in my 3rd year pursuing my passion for jazz matched with my passion for food. So obviously people would ask, which one are you going to choose, music or food? The idea of music and food as separates was challenged when a musician and electronic music producer, Shane Cooper, also known as Carter and Spokes, approached me with an idea to do a food jam. The idea was to record the cooking sounds at a food jam, invite 3 producers, including himself, to use the cooking samples to each create a track, all within 6 hours. We invited 2 illustrators to each create an album cover, and 2 VJs to create visual installations inspired by the food jam, and this is what happened.
Today we're going to be food jamming with some chefs, visual artists and producers. Let's see what happens.
Basically, the gravy team, which is myself, Sean, Tim and Carter Spoke, we recorded a bunch of sounds in the kitchen and then turned that shit into music.
You can turn a sound into a lot of different things. So we recorded maybe 33 percussion sounds. We recorded like a couple of notes on the tuno and like a major scale on the voice and on the glockenspiel. And the amount of variety you can draw from that is huge. From one little sound of a knife hitting a piece of wood, you can pitch shift it, you can tweak it, you can put through effects, through compression, through reverb, whatever you want. And it can go any place. It can become a snare drum, it can become a kick drum, it can become a little percussive thing, it can become a melody. And a lot of the time, that's kind of part of the process.
Sound-wise, I definitely use a lot of the vocals. I definitely think it added a human element, which can sometimes be missed when it's just clinical sounds banging and very like percussive sounds. We record all the sounds, and then I just went through all the sounds without knowing what some of them were, and just kind of put them in and just kind of try to make a track out of them.
We just participated in the food jam in terms of visualization of it.
We used video mapping and we used some basic masking.
We basically just went with what's happening around here, what's in the house. Amazingly just worked out. I mean, I think music though and visuals do that. I think it's amazing how we find sync in things that fit together, but there were just incredible moments of unexpected synchronicity.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Thank you. So you could say that food jams really is just an excuse to get together with people around food. I've used food jams as an excuse to get together with and work with some amazing illustrators, photographers, and filmmakers to document the way that they see food jams, and in doing so, documented over 20 FoodJams in 2.5 years. I FoodJammed in Durban and Joburg, and I've been invited to FoodJam in Soweto and San Francisco. I FoodJammed with a group of exchange students who not only got to know South African food, such as putupa, but also got to make it and taste it, and in doing so, formed a tight bond in a foreign country. The hierarchy of an attorney's office was dispelled during a FoodJam. A group of lifeguards got together for a FoodJam, and you saw muscled instructors being shown by rookie lifeguards how to make pasta. So, we might be strangers looking for a common ground, but what doesn't matter is what language we speak or what we do for a living or that we're awkward. What does matter is that we engage so that we can collaborate and create without the rules of how. Thank you.